With mixing, you're adjusting levels of individual elements in an arrangement, like for example, drums versus guitars versus vocals and other parts. With an equalization, you're adjusting the level within each instrument. Let's take the voice for example. So if I'd like to hear more low end in my voice, I can use an EQ to boost it. If I'd like to hear less of the high end, I can use the EQ to tone it down. We're going to discover how to do all this using FL Studio's parametric EQ tool. It is a very powerful equalizer and has a lot of visual elements to help us or aid us in the process. Let's now see how we can make use of equalization to adjust the tonal balance of individual parts to make our overall mix sound nicer. So I have this guitar part over here. I'm going to isolate it and let's have a quick listen to this. There are already a couple of effects on the two mixer slots here. But let's say I would like to EQ this sound. Now every channel in the mixer already has a built-in EQ, a very basic one. A 3-band EQ over here. So let's say I would like to tone down some lows, so I can bring this slider down. And you can immediately hear we're losing some low end in the guitar there. I can choose the frequency where I want to set this to. Make it really thin. And I can also adjust the curvature. On the other end, we can do the same to the high frequencies. Maybe I want to tone down the high frequencies. Make the entire sound very dull. Or I can even brighten up the entire sound by boosting those high frequencies. And then we have the mid frequency selector here, so I can boost mid frequency. I can choose where that frequency is going to be. And I can make it tighter to focus in on that particular frequency, or just make it wide so all the neighboring frequencies also get affected. And we can also cut. Alright, so that's a very basic 3-band EQ. But let's say you want something a bit more significant, where you want a lot more surgical control. We can choose to add a dedicated EQ. I'm going to load it into slot 3 here. I'm going to load the Fruity Parametric EQ too. Alright, so let's make this a bit bigger. Now having the spectrum analyzer in the background is very helpful, so we can see exactly where the frequencies lie in this particular sound. So you can see there's a lot of low end here. I can engage one of these bands and just directly on the graph I can tone it down. Let's say I want to brighten some of the highs. I'll select band 7 here and increase the level. It brightens up the sound. Maybe somewhere in the mids I'd like to tone things down, so I'll bring this down here. Now each band here is color coded, so let's say this yellow one represents this yellow band over here. So I can also adjust it directly over here, and we can adjust the frequency from here. We can adjust the bandwidth, make it wider, make it more narrow. We can also turn it off and on by clicking over here. Once you EQ a part, you definitely want to listen to it in context of the arrangement. So let's do that right now. It doesn't matter so much how the instrument sounds in isolation. You want it to sound good when it's heard along with the arrangement. Alright, I'm going to do another example. Let's do the kick next. So on the kick, on slot 2 here, I load in Fruity Parametric EQ2. Again, first let's isolate it. Figure out what frequencies we have in here, what we want to tone down. I don't need too much mid frequency here, so I'm going to tone this down. Cleans it up a bit. And I'd like to boost some of the low end. So let's do that. And also brighten up the kick a little bit. This will help make the kick cut through a busy mix. Alright, so let's say I'm happy with this. I can always turn off the entire EQ over here and listen to the pre-EQ version, turn it back on, and listen to what it sounds like with the EQ. And finally, let's listen to this with everything else. It's getting a little too loud, so I'm going to make it a bit quieter here. Same for the guitar. Alright, so those are some of the basics of using an EQ to adjust the tonal balance of your mix.